Okay, tonight is Ether chapter 14.
And now there began to be a great curse upon all the land because of the iniquity of the people, in which, if a man should lay his tool or his sword upon his shelf, or upon the place whither he would keep it, behold, upon the morrow he could not find it. So great was the curse upon the land. Wherefore every man did cleave unto that which was his own with his hands, and would not borrow, neither would he lend, and every man kept the hilt of his sword in his right hand, in the defense of his property, and his own life, and of his wives and children.
It would be very grim and scary to live in that place at that time, right, where you have to be worried all the time that people are going to be trying to steal from you. And as you can see, it says that, it refers to it as a curse upon the land, right, so that there was no protection for the people, all right, but it says because of the iniquity of the people, it says even whatever they own could easily disappear, so that they were afraid to even put something on the shelf or to sleep where they couldn't have their belongings right there, right? So in fact, they said they slept with their hand on the sword, ready to jump up and defend their stuff. Okay, so this is it's a tough way to live, right? As people, we sometimes we can be untrusting of others, but I think as people, you want to trust other people. You want to be in a place where you can trust everybody, and you don't have to worry about things disappearing or somebody trying to take something from you or hurt you in some way. So again, this would be the opposite of that, where you can trust nobody, right? And you know everybody's trying to hurt you or take from you, and so that would be a tough way to live. But see, it's referred to as a curse. Really, it's a curse that's brought upon them by themselves, right? That by embracing the enemy, by turning away from God, right? Nobody's forcing anybody to steal from anybody or hurt other people. This is just what they're doing. So they've in essence brought the curse upon themselves, or they are the curse upon the group, right? Because they're the ones who are doing it. Really, at any time the people could decide, well, I want to live right, but instead this is how they all choose to live. So in essence, they're the curse upon the people of this time.
And now, after the space of 2 years, and after the death of Shared, behold, there arose the brother of Shared, and he gave battle unto Coriantumr, in which Coriantumr did beat him, and did pursue him to the wilderness of Achish. And it came to pass that the brother of Shared did give battle unto him in the wilderness of Achish, and the battle became exceeding sore, and many thousands fell by the sword. And it came to pass that Coriantumr did lay siege to the wilderness, and the brother of Shared did march forth out of the wilderness by night, and slew a part of the army of Coriantumr as they were drunken. And he came forth to the land of Moron, and placed himself upon the throne of Coriantumr.
First of all, do you remember who Coriantumr was? He was king, and he had a conversation with the prophet Ether, and Ether basically gave him two choices. He said, you can repent of your sins and try to now serve God as the leader of this people, in which case everybody will be blessed by God, right? Or you can refuse, in which case you're going to witness everybody killed, and basically you're going to be the last one left. See, that's the key part of that, right? That Ether said you're going to be the last one left. You'll see everybody else die, and you'll be the only one left. And you'll live long enough to see the people that God's going to bring over to replace these people. Okay, so that was the thing that was put out to Coriantumr. So that's why he's a key participant here, because to the extent that he's not following God, which we see that is not happening, right? So that's the road he's headed down. So one interesting thing is then the prophecy is true. He can't be killed, right? Because he'd be the last one. So he's going to be he's going to survive everybody else if they're not going to serve God. All right, so that's the key thing about Coriantumr. So as much as he's beaten up here and wounded and so forth, right, he's unkillable based on the prophecy until the time comes that everybody else is gone. All right, and so as you see there in the verses that we just read, all right, it says that last week we had read, the last chapter we read that he had killed this man named Shared. Right, well now his brother is there, and as you can see, it says he gets battle. Coriantumr beats him back, right? And but yet as it says in 5, it says the brother of Shared did march forth and slew a part of the army of Coriantumr, right? And then he took back the throne of Coriantumr at that point. So, but as we've read and talked about many other times, the throne and the kingdom here, I mean, it's so fluid, right? It just kind of goes from one to the other, and so as they have different battles, and now this one is on the throne, and then that one gets beat by somebody else, and that one's on the throne, so it's a very fluid thing. Very few kings live to retirement age here, right? They just kind of go back and forth, and whoever is the winner on a given day becomes the king.
And it came to pass that Coriantumr dwelt with his army in the wilderness for the space of 2 years, in which he did receive great strength to his army. Now the brother of Shared, whose name was Gilead, also received great strength to his army, because of secret combinations. And it came to pass that his high priest murdered him as he sat upon his throne. And it came to pass that one of the secret combinations murdered him in a secret pass, and obtained unto himself the kingdom, and his name was Lib, and Lib was a man of great stature, more than any other man among all the people.
So it describes that the next 2 years are kind of a resting up period where they're going to get ready for the next battle, perhaps. Right? So you can see in 7 it says Coriantumr dwelt with his army for 2 years, and they got strengthened, and that the brother of Shared also received strength for his army. We get to see the name of the brother of Shared here in 8, different than the brother of Jared. Right? That here his name was Gilead. Okay, so he gets a name. Right, and so he gets the name just in time to get killed in the next sentence, as you can see. Right, and it's in verse 9, it says, it came to pass his high priest murdered him as he sat upon his throne. Okay, so there's, even within people on the same side, there's no honor here among the people, and it kind of is consistent with what we read at the beginning of the chapter, where it said that nobody was safe, nobody's things were safe. So you can see that this is consistent with that even among people who were supposed to be on the same side, that things weren't safe. Right? This is in 10, the man named Lib was the killer, and then now becomes the new king himself. So, like I said, the throne is very fluid, and whoever wins last is the one that gets the throne. So now the king is named Lib, and since he was a man of great stature, he's a big guy, so I guess that's how he's able to overpower the king here to kill him, and so I guess he's an imposing figure at this time, but so now he's the new king, at least for now.
And it came to pass that in the first year of Lib, Coriantumr came up unto the land of Moron, and gave battle unto Lib. And it came to pass that he fought with Lib, in which Lib did smite upon his arm, that he was wounded. Nevertheless, the army of Coriantumr did press forward upon Lib, that he fled to the borders upon the seashore. And it came to pass that Coriantumr pursued him, and Lib gave battle unto him upon the seashore. And it came to pass that Lib did smite the army of Coriantumr, that they fled again to the wilderness of Achish.
Right. So as we said that Lib is the new king, right? And so then here that was a result of infighting among the people who were supposed to be on the same side, but now finally the battle commences between him and the other side, which is the Coriantumr side. So then, as you can see, it's the army of Lib versus the army of Coriantumr now for the next few verses. Right, and it gives you some of the back and forth. It says, but Coriantumr says is wounded in the arm, and like I said, that's kind of happened to him a few times. Right, so he's gotten wounded and he's injured and takes some time to recover. But again, notice he's not killed. So others, when they get smitten or smote, that they're killed. Right, but here Coriantumr, he gets wounded, but yet he lives on, and so that's again what happened here. So 13, Coriantumr pursued him, and they had battle, and 14, Lib smites the army of Coriantumr. So again, it's just a back and forth right now. But as I keep pointing out, to you that Coriantumr, as much as he might get nicked and wounded and beat up, all right, but yet he lives on, and he comes back for the next round of the battle. So he's at the head of his army, and they continue to go back and forth.
And it came to pass that Lib did pursue him until he came to the plains of Agash. And Coriantumr had taken all the people with him as he fled before Lib in that quarter of the land whither he fled. And when he had come to the plains of Agash, he gave battle unto Lib, and he smote upon him until he died. Nevertheless, the brother of Lib did come against Coriantumr in the stead thereof, and the battle became exceeding sore, in the which Coriantumr fled again before the army of the brother of Lib. Now the name of the brother of Lib was called Shiz. And it came to pass that Shiz pursued after Coriantumr, and he did overthrow many cities, and he did slay both women and children, and he did burn the cities.
So as we said, it's the army of Coriantumr against the army of Lib, right? And so the Lib army seemed to be winning, so therefore they're not going to pursue the army of Coriantumr, right? Rather than than lay back, and so they want to try to finish this battle, this war. Right, so it says they go after them, and now finally there's a battle between Coriantumr and Lib, and so even though Lib was the big guy, right, the mighty man, yet as you can see in verse 16, it says Coriantumr, he smote upon him until he died, right, so he actually won that particular battle, and so Lib, even though he's a big guy, now he's been dispatched, and so now it says his brother picks up after him. This is the brother of Lib, whose name is Shiz. Right? And so it says now came to pass that Shiz is going after Coriantumr and overthrowing the cities and so forth. So see, there's never an end to it, right? When one dies, the next one picks up, whether it's his brother or maybe in some cases the son or just somebody else, right? That they continue with the battle. So it's a never-ending battle, which tells you that the people can't live forever, or I should say that the people can't keep appearing forever. So if they keep having battles, sooner or later they're going to kill each other off, and so really it does appear to be headed in the direction that the prophecy was given, that you can imagine it would eventually get down to just about nobody, right, because they just keep having battles every so often and killing each other before even new people could be born and grow up and take over in the army, right, so they're just killing off all the people, and unless you think it's just the men being killed, right, as you see in 17, it says he did slay both women and children, right, and burn the city. So nobody's sacred, nobody's off limits, right? And anybody can be killed here, and they are.
And there went a fear of Shiz throughout all the land. Yea, a cry went forth throughout the land. Who can stand before the army of Shiz? Behold, he sweepeth the earth before him. And it came to pass that the people began to flock together in armies throughout all the face of the land. And they were divided, and a part of them fled to the army of Shiz, and a part of them fled to the army of Coriantumr.
Remembering that that Lib had built up his own army, but now he's gone, but now his brother Shiz has taken over, right? So he has a great army now at his disposal. So as it says in 18, it says, who can stand before the army of Shiz? Behold, he sweepeth the earth before him, all right? So the others are kind of nervous about this army, all right? But yet now, look at 19, right, where it says, it came to pass, people began to flock together in armies throughout all the face of the land, and they were divided, right? So it sounds like either you're on one side or the other, right? There's no neutral ground here, right? So either you're with the army of Shiz, or you're with the army of Coriantumr, okay? There's no middle ground. It says they were divided, a part of them fled the army of Shiz, and the part of them fled to the army of Coriantumr. So now, you gotta pick your side. You got to pick your side. You got to be on one side or the other, because a lot of people have been killed. Cities have been overthrown and burned and so forth. So now it's really the shaping up to the last battle, where either you're on one side or the other, right? And I will give you as a preview that this is the final sides, all right? So it's going to be the army of Coriantumr against the army of Shiz, right? Battling right down to the end, right? So they had to be either on one side or the other. There was no neutral ground. Right, you're either on one side or the other.
And so great and lasting had been the war, and so long had been the scene of bloodshed and carnage, that the whole face of the land was covered with the bodies of the dead. And so swift and speedy was the war, that there was none left to bury the dead, but they did march forth from the shedding of blood to the shedding of blood, leaving the bodies of both men, women, and children strewed upon the face of the land, to become a prey to the worms of the flesh. And the scent thereof went forth upon the face of the land, even upon all the face of the land, wherefore the people became troubled by day and by night, because of the scent thereof.
So as it's saying that it's trying to describe what it was like, right? Now we've tried to comment on a little bit as we've gone through, saying how terrible it was and how it was a tough time to be living, and how it's gotten down to where you have to be on one side or the other, and it's constant battles and war. All right, but as you can see in 21 and 2, it says, so great and lasting was the war, and there's so much bloodshed and carnage, the whole face of the land is covered with the bodies of the dead. All right, so pretty much everywhere you look, there's dead bodies, because there's no time for funerals or burials or anything, all right, because they're just constantly fighting. So they're probably tripping on or climbing over dead bodies as they walk, right, and they just leave them there. So that's really what they have. It says it's going from shedding of blood to the shedding of blood. In other words, it's today's killing is that, and now tomorrow we're ready to go out and kill some more or be killed. So it was just a day by day battle. And as it says in 23, it says, they even started to smell kind of bad, which you can imagine, right? You got these dead bodies laying around, the worms are starting to eat them, and it's just kind of disgusting. So they're, right? So just on top of even having to see this, they even have to smell it, right? As they're trying to do battle, they're surrounded by the smell of death and rotting flesh. See, as we said at the beginning of the chapter, right? If you're going to say, well, how did this happen, or where did this come from, or what kind of a curse is this? Right? It's that the people themselves bring it upon themselves, right? Really, at any time, anybody could have thrown up their hands and said, stop, right? But yet nobody does that, right? No, I mean, God, forget about God, right? But yet they just want to continue on and say, somehow I'm going to win, right? What they thought they were going to win, I don't know, because even winning the throne was only a temporary thing, and but yet they went on from day to day. It just becomes a matter of winning, and really even what the prize is or what the goal is forgotten. And that's, again, perhaps a good lesson sometimes that, sometimes people can just be so bent on, I'm going to win, right? That they say, are you really winning, right? Or what are you winning? Or is it just a matter of winning and that's it? Well, that's kind of where it is now. I mean, what were they going to win? They're killing everybody around, right? The whole land is covered with dead bodies. So what is it that we thought we were going to win here, right? So they're just going to keep on killing and killing until what, right? Until somebody's going to win, right? Everybody's losing at this point.
Nevertheless, Shiz did not cease to pursue Coriantumr, for he had sworn to avenge himself upon Coriantumr of the blood of his brother who had been slain, and the word of the Lord which came to Ether, that Coriantumr should not fall by the sword. And thus we see that the Lord did visit them in the fullness of his wrath, and their wickedness and abominations had prepared a way for their everlasting destruction.
See, as we just kind of said in the last few verses, right, you would think at some point somebody would say this is not worth it, right? We're all going to die, and we're going to accomplish nothing. We're just killing each other, and you might think that somebody would come to that conclusion. It says at the beginning of 24. Nevertheless, right, in spite of everything that they're facing, climbing over dead bodies all the time, and the terrible scent, nevertheless, it says, Shiz did not cease to pursue Coriantumr, right? It says, well, I'm still going to win this. Right, this guy killed my brother, right? And I'm gonna have my revenge on him. I'm gonna kill him because he killed my brother. And so that becomes a personal vendetta, accomplishing nothing, but just somehow a personal thing, a personal situation there, and just trying to kill him for the sake of having some kind of revenge, right? But as you note in the second half of 24 was what we said earlier. It says to understand the word of the Lord which had come to Ether, that Coriantumr should not fall by the sword. See, so if Shiz would have been cognizant of the prophecy, he would have known he was wasting his time, right? Because Coriantumr couldn't be killed by the sword, right? Because of the prophecy. So therefore, going after him was not a good move because he couldn't be successful in what he was trying to do, right? And so now, just 25 points out, we see the Lord did visit them in the fullness of his wrath and so forth. But it says their wickedness and abominations had prepared a way for their everlasting destruction, right? So I said we want to make sure we point that out, right? It's not that God somehow got mad at them and said, well, I'm going to destroy them all. It says their wickedness and abominations had prepared a way for their everlasting destruction. They were doing it to themselves.
And it came to pass that Shiz did pursue Coriantumr eastward, even to the borders of the seashore. And there he gave battle unto Shiz for the space of 3 days. And so terrible was the destruction among the armies of Shiz, that the people began to be frightened, and began to flee before the armies of Coriantumr. And they fled to the land of Corihor, and swept off the inhabitants before them, all them that would not join them. And they pitched their tents in the valley of Corihor, and Coriantumr pitched his tents in the valley of Shur. Now the valley of Shur was near the hill Comnor, wherefore Coriantumr did gather his armies together upon the hill Comnor, and did sound a trumpet unto the armies of Shiz to invite them forth to battle.
Now, notwithstanding some of the geography here, right? Again, I'm not going to try to get too much into the geography of it, right? But you can see it says Shiz pursued Coriantumr eastward, and they had some more battle for the space of 3 days, right? But now in 28 it says they pitched their tents, one in the valley of Corihor and the other one in the valley of Shur. Now these would be, I assume, two valleys not too far apart from each other. And so, I want you to picture, if you've ever seen like movies where they have, these battle scenes, so here's the one army here, there's the other army over there, and maybe they have their flag up, And in fact, it even throws in at the end of 28, it says they did sound the trumpet unto the armies of Shiz to invite them forth to battle. You know, so they have the trumpet. Okay, so we're ready for you, right? So it says invite them to come to the battle. All right. So this is the scene that the last two armies and the remainder of the people are here now. And now there's the trumpet sounding. And says, okay, come and get us. All right, we're ready for you. We're ready to fight. And so this is again the scene that we're looking at here. You know, we're approaching the last battle, and now it's the one army against the other, and that's all that's left. Right? Everybody else is gone. It's just the two armies that are left, and they're going to now go against each other in this nice battle scene.
And it came to pass that they came forth, but were driven again, and they came the second time, and they were driven again the second time. And it came to pass that they came again the third time, and the battle became exceeding sore. And it came to pass that Shiz smote upon Coriantumr, that he gave him many deep wounds, and Coriantumr, having lost his blood, fainted, and was carried away as though he were dead. Now the loss of men, women, and children on both sides was so great that Shiz commanded his people that they should not pursue the armies of Coriantumr, wherefore they returned to their camp.
It says they came together several times in the battle, right? The key part being in verse 30, where it says Shiz smote upon Coriantumr, gave him many deep wounds. Coriantumr lost a lot of blood, fainted, and was carried away as though he were dead. Right? However, we know that he's not dead because the prophecy said he wouldn't die this way. Right? That's why it says as though he were dead. And again, if they had known the prophecy, they would have made sure he was dead, but they let him be carried away, still alive. All right, and now at this point it says the loss of men, women, and children was so great that Shiz said, okay, that's enough now. I'm not going to bother to pursue the army anymore because we've won the battle, right? And maybe he thought that Coriantumr was dead at this point, so I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, so that's enough for today. That's why it says now they returned to their camp, feeling they were victorious in this particular battle.